guys, I'm Sarah and I run the website taughtly.co.uk, which has got free resources for IGCSE and IB English. But today I am doing summary writing for First Language English, looking at the new 2027 papers. So summary writing has now become question 2B on the 2027 papers, but if you are looking for any past videos, it used to be question 1F. It's still the same. Just a new number. Don't forget as well that I do have live group classes, I do online tutoring, and I've also got an online writing course on my website, which is 30 hours of content that isn't available on YouTube. Alright, so the summary writing question will now be question 2. And it will be followed by the writer's attitude question, which is a new addition to the 2027 paper. However, the summary writing question itself really hasn't changed, so you will be able to use past papers, which is really good. So the reading marks. So just notice it's not changed. So it's the same as past papers from 2020 to 2026. It's the same length, it's the same number of marks, and it's the same marking requirements. But the only difference that I have found is that because it's now followed by the writer's attitude question, previous past papers were more kind of neutral in tone. So the text B tended to be really informative and explanatory and didn't really have a lot of emotion in it. But obviously now it has to have some emotion in for you to be able to then answer the new question on writer's attitude. So really the biggest change to summary writing is very simply that the text will have a slightly more passionate or argumentative tone to it, but the requirements of the task itself and the marking of the task haven't changed. So it will still look something like this over here, so you might recognise it. So you're going to write a focus summary. It will be worth 15 marks with 10 marks for reading and 5 marks for writing, and I recommend that you guys spend about 20 minutes to answer it. That's 10 minutes to read and to plan and about 10 minutes to write. The word limit is not a limit, it's a suggestion. So they say that you shouldn't write more than 120 words. However, the examiner is not going to count that. So you don't need to worry about your word count. Just make sure that you don't write more than this first piece of paper and you're absolutely fine. Please don't be that person that wastes time in the exam counting up their words, because even your examiner won't do that. So my exam technique for summary writing is this. Make sure that you read your summary question first so you know exactly what you're looking for, and then skim and scan your text, highlighting for the answers as you go. So your highlights or your underlines will become your plan, right? So you are trying to find, well, what are the answers to this question? Now, in order to get 10 out of 10 marks, you need to have around 10 points, right? Ideally. You're not going to know which is a point and which perhaps isn't. Therefore, I recommend that you try to find around 10 to 12 points to answer your question. And that's also because the mark scheme typically has 12 or more possible answers in it as well. Do note that not all points are going to be clearly, explicitly stated, but might need to be inferred, might be suggested, and you might need to do a little bit of work to figure them out. Do remember that this is a focus summary, so we are only including information that is relevant to our question. Anything else will be classed as extra, excess information, and you would start to lose marks if you included it. After you have done highlighting your 10 to 12 potential answers, I recommend that you then spend a little bit of time deciding which points belong together. Which point should you put together in the same sentence or in the same paragraph so that your answer flows and links with good organisation. And do remember that for summary writing, you don't need to have an introduction or a conclusion. Ideally, every single sentence should have a purpose. In other words, it should have a point in it from the mark scheme. If you have got a sentence that doesn't have a point from the mark scheme, that's probably extra irrelevant information that you didn't need to include. So strictly no intros and no conclusions. So we are going to have a look at the 2027 specimen paper today. And on that, the summary question looked like this. So this is for 2027. According to text B, what are the arguments against cloning being the best way to protect endangered species, such as the tacky horse? Use continuous writing, not note form, and use your own words as far as possible. Your summary should not be more than 120 words. So it looks and is phrased exactly like previous past papers. Now do notice that we are focused on a particular topic, which is arguments against cloning, right? If you include arguments why cloning could be good, that's going to be extra irrelevant information. And also implicitly, If cloning isn't the best way to protect the endangered species such as the tacky horse, what might be better than cloning? That could also potentially be a mark. Remember that some of the points will be implicit and you will need to infer them, figure them out, right? Logically based on the information in front of you. You couldn't copy it down directly. You have to do a little bit of brain work to find that answer as it's being hinted in the text. So guys, I'm going to put a link to the specimen paper in the description below. We're not going to read it out in full today, but you are looking at the specimen paper for 2027, looking at text B called A Very Special Foal. So remember, I recommend that you do pause this video lesson now and have a go at doing the question if you haven't already. Read that text and try to highlight 10 to 12 possible answers that answer the summary prompt. What are the arguments against cloning as the best way to support endangered species? Make sure that you avoid irrelevant information, facts, how or why, information about horses, information about their evolution. That's not an argument against cloning. Do avoid repeating the same idea because that will probably only be worth 1 mark. And remember that you will need to infer implicit ideas. After you've finished highlighting, do have a think. How are you going to group the points? Which points will flow together in the same sentence or one sentence after the other? Okay, so I do recommend that you do that past paper now before carrying on with this video lesson, but I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here is the mark scheme of answers that you could have had. So cloning is not a widespread procedure used for endangered species to date. There are many failed attempts and it's only the second successful cloned foal. Slow progress or it's taken decades. It's expensive, it's not currently viable, not every species is suitable or you don't always have the cell samples that you need. Conventional breeding programs have been more successful or reintroduced far more animals into the wild. Cloning is tampering with nature. It can produce genetic errors. Many of the first cloned animals died young or had health problems. The clones can't be reintroduced into the wild, only their grandchildren will be released. And cloning distracts from environmental action. It doesn't tackle environmental destruction and it doesn't stop hunting. So these were the potential answers that you could have had. So you can see that I've highlighted the answers here in this text, so you can see where I found them. So feel free to pause the video if you weren't sure, like, oh, where did those answers specifically came from? This is where they came from. Now do notice that the following 3 answers were more implicit. So slow progress, not viable, and that it distracts from environmental action. These weren't clearly stated in the text, so we had to use our brains a little bit. The fact that it's slow progress, you can get that from the fact that actually the cells were taken from a male horse decades ago. So it's taken at least decades to get this current horse, therefore it must be slow. For the next one, the fact that it's not currently viable, here they say that it might someday become a viable strategy. Well, if it might someday become viable, that means that it's not viable now. So we had to use our brains here. And that it detracts from environmental action. This final line here, reinforcing the need for environmental action, not distracting attention as critics argue. So we had to do a little bit of work and say, okay, well, if critics say it's doing this, then it might be doing this. It might be distracting. Okay, now on to a quick little bit of writing advice. Don't forget that writing is only worth 5 marks, guys. So don't get overly stressed out about writing, because what I found is if you write clearly and you've tried to use some synonyms, you're probably going to get 3 out of 5, okay? So don't freak out over it too much. So general advice is try to write in your own words wherever possible, but remember that there are more marks for reading than writing. So if you can't think of a good synonym, I would rather that you just copied the word down directly, because if you don't copy it down and you use a synonym and that synonym is wrong, you've lost the reading mark and potentially a writing mark as well, because the examiner is no longer going to understand the point that you were making and you've used a poor choice of words. So unless you're confident in your synonym, just copy it down. Sometimes it might not be possible to get a good synonym, especially for very precise nouns. So for example, foal or horse. We don't really want to think of synonyms for those words because they're far too precise, and it's fine to reuse those words. So for paraphrasing, which means writing in your own words, you should use synonyms. Try to switch around the sentence structure. Make sure that you're changing the order of the original ideas, so that you're not just copying out chronologically in the same time order that you found the points in the text. Try to keep the meaning the same or you will lose your reading mark as well. And ultimately, don't forget that it is a summary, so be concise, keep it short, guys. If you want more paraphrasing advice, I have got a free video lesson on my website, taughtly.co.uk. I'll link it in the description. Okay, on to some sample answers. So we'll have a look at the samples, and this is how they're marked. So basically, content means how many points did you find, how many reading points did you find. So if you found 10 reading points or more, you've probably got 10 out of 10 marks for content. Unless, if you did not stay focused on your question, and if you included extra irrelevant information that might bring down your mark. So if, for example, you found 10 points, but you weren't always focused on your question, I might knock you down a mark. I might give you 9. And actually, if you've got a lot of extra irrelevant information, I might knock you down by 2 marks. So although you found 10 points, you're now getting 8 out of 10 because you've got too much extra information. It's not often that I ever see someone knocked down more than 2 marks for reading. So it's typically remove 1 or 2 marks. I've never seen more than that, but in theory it could happen, I suppose, if you wrote way too much and were really unfocused. Then for writing, I'm looking to see, are you writing using your own words as much as possible? How good and precise were your synonyms? And did you group your ideas effectively so that your summary flowed and linked and it was clear and easy for me to understand? For writing, we do also want to avoid sounding like a list, just simply listing out the ideas. Try to include some transition words like furthermore, moreover, however, to make your writing feel a little bit better connected. So this is how I would personally mark the summary writing question. So first, I read the question and the text myself, and I like to personally highlight the content points in the text, just like I did on the earlier slide, so that I can easily check to see if you copied. Then I would read the student answer and I would highlight for the content points and annotate in the side. So every time I find an answer, I would write compared to the mark scheme, point 1, point 2, point 8, and so on. To award a mark for reading, I count up how many points have you got in total. Then I check to see if there's any extra irrelevant information or areas where you haven't stayed focused on the question. If there's no excess found and it's focused, then I would roughly give you the number of marks, the same as the number of points that you found. But if you have got excess or unfocused information, then I would deduct 1 to 2 marks. To award a mark for writing, I firstly check the quality of the paraphrasing, your synonyms. I check for clarity, concision and flow. Are you clear? Are you short? Does it flow beautifully? I usually start at 3 out of 5 and adjust from there, right? So if you're not super clear, I sometimes don't know what you mean, you're copying quite a lot, move you down to 2, maybe even 1. If you're doing even better than that, then I'm going to move you up to 4 or 5. Most students will probably score around 3 to 4. At least the students that I typically teach would usually score 3 or 4 out of 5 for writing. Now let's have a look at a sample. So this is from a real student, and this is one that scored 7 out of 10 for reading and 4 out of 5 for writing. Cloning is a costly operation that has not yet had much use in the context of endangered species. The procedure has not had much success, with most trials ending in vain. Cloning is difficult to carry out, considering some species may be unfit for the procedure, and cell samples are tough to acquire. There are significant issues with the process. Furthermore, such as risk of genetic error, and clones have died as juveniles. Cloning itself is problematic because it involves disturbing the natural environment, and the issues of clones not being reintroduced to their natural habitat. Finally, the process is not the most reliable to protect endangered species, as it digresses from addressing the actual environmental efforts. So, everywhere that there's a blue highlight, that corresponds to a point from the mark scheme. Okay, so if it's 0.6 in the mark scheme, I write 6 and so on. This helps me as an examiner to keep track of what points students are finding. So the student has also got some partial marks, you can see here with the upward pointing arrow. And that's because the student should have written not had much widespread use in contexts. And because they're saying it hasn't had much use, it's not really getting across that same idea as across many different areas. So they partially got the idea, but not fully. And then 10, they also got a partial mark here. And this was because the student simply said that clones having died as juveniles rather than many. So not all of them, but some of them. So they've slightly changed the meaning here. And down here, perhaps I should have given a half mark for this too, because disturbing the natural environment is not necessarily the same as disturbing nature. I've also noticed a few small grammar errors. Now, the students aren't marked for grammar, but they are marked for clarity. So if the grammar errors make it less clear sometimes what the student's trying to say, then you would mark them down. They have got some really nice synonyms in here. One synonym that wasn't so good, I think the word here should be distract rather than digress, not the same meaning, but other than that, the synonyms were good. Now, here's another sample that scored 6 out of 10 and 3 out of 5. Text B argues against cloning due to its lack of investment for saving endangered species, leading to many failed attempts. This process is also expensive and difficult to carry out, relying on hard-to-obtain materials. Additionally, cloning can only save eligible species, leading others to turn to more reliable alternatives like conventional breeding. Cloning also reduces gene pools and may cause genetic errors, leading to young clones that didn't survive. Even if they did, they were held in captivity, arguably distracting and making it unpopular. So here the student got I think 6 possible points. Let's count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they got 5 full points and 2 kind of partial points that they hadn't fully explained. So therefore we're thinking, okay, 6 or 7, maybe even a 5, in that realm. I ended up giving the student 6 because they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full points, 2 other half points, and if you look, there's no excess whatsoever. So I think 6 out of 10 is fair. They got 3 out of 5 because they had some copying. So here LM stands for lifted material, directly copied material. The bits that I have underlined were directly copied. And also they had some phrases where the meaning wasn't necessarily clear due to its lack of investment for saving. What does that mean? Okay. So that's why the student got 3 out of 5. They did a pretty good job, but some copying and some unclear information. Here's a student that scored 7 out of 10 and 4 out of 5. The main argument against cloning is the fact that it's altering natural creatures and increasing their risk of genetic problems, whilst also not increasing their gene pool. Additionally, old-fashioned breeding programs have been successful for the tacky horse, from groups such as 12 individuals. Cloning also isn't easy. We can't clone every species, and sometimes it's difficult to obtain the DNA needed to start the process. Cloning is also expensive and is a difficult scientific process, even with all the DNA and surrogate horses. It shows since Ollie was only the second of this species to be cloned. Finally, there are also health concerns with cloned animals. Some die young, and even if they stay healthy for their whole life, the early generations will remain in captivity for their whole lives. It scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full ideas and 2 partial ideas, and it didn't really have any sentences that were irrelevant. It was focused on the question, so therefore I awarded the student 7 out of 10 because they found 6 full ideas, 2 partial ideas, so I thought 7 was fair. For writing, I thought it had some really nice synonyms in there, maybe a little bit too wordy, so whole life and whole life repeated down here, for example. But I think that the student also could have worked on the logical flow and ordering of their ideas, which points below belong together. I thought that they could improve. Finally, here's another sample that scored the same. So it also scored 7 out of 10 for reading and 4 out of 5 for writing. The process of cloning circumvents the cycle of nature, all while offering low survival rates, where the cloned animals die young. Furthermore, the process isn't really trusted and has only had a few successes in cloning, with many other adjacent failures. Moreover, the process is incredibly costly and only compatible to clone for select species. Additionally, the method still isn't considered feasible in front of other orthodox breeding programs. Plus, the method is also said to render genetic faults, making the animals die early even if they are perfectly healthy. So here the student has found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ideas and 1 partial idea, but I thought on the balance, looking at how focused it was probably closer to a 7 than a 6, so I awarded them a 7. They did have a little bit of repetition, as you can see, with the repetition of die and die, but they had some really nice synonyms in here, like circumvents the cycle of nature, many other adjacent failures, it's costly, it's not compatible to clone orthodox breeding programs, so I thought that they had some really nice synonyms indeed. Alright guys, so that's everything that I've got for you today. I do hope that you found that useful. Do like and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos coming up for the 2027 series of First Language English. And don't forget that I do online tutoring. Come and join me for one of my live classes, and that I've got that online writing course. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.